Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Today in L.A. with Mike Amos. Today is April the 13th, Tuesday morning, and I'm Forrest Lee, and this is Bill Rice. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Forrest.
How's everything in the Rice Land?
Everything in Rice Land is A-OK. Looking forward to the rest of this week, and I always enjoy looking through your rundown of topics. You do a great job of finding things that people will be interested in and that a lot of people might have missed.
Well, today is Peach Cobbler Day, and I can make peach cobbler too.
I know you can.
There's a simple recipe for that. But peach cobbler, it's also Scrabble Day. Have you got a Scrabble game at home?
Somewhere, I think I do.
Yeah. Today is Scrabble Day, National Scrabble Day. And of course, there's other names that is associated with April the 13th. But anyway, it's been a pretty good week for me. Yesterday, I went to the co-op down 29 and bought some more plants. I just couldn't resist. I bought some, you know the difference between determinate and an indeterminate tomato plant?
No.
Determinate and indeterminate. Well, a determinate means it doesn't grow very high.
Okay. Right.
Indeterminate, it will get way up yonder, so you got to have something to stake it with.
Live and learn.
Yeah. So
what did you get?
Well, I got the Sweet 100, which is an indeterminate. So one year, what I did is I found an old wooden ladder, and I put it all over,
Yeah.
I squared it to my plant, and it just grew up my ladder. And but I've got some wire.
How many tomatoes will you get from one little plant?
Oh, there's no telling. It depends on how your nutrients are, the water, and all that. This year, I planted 2 determinate tomato plants in a square bale. Well, I just opened it up a little bit. I left the strings on the bale, and I just opened it up and stuck a tomato plant on one side and one on the other. And I put cucumber seeds in one bale, and I put squash seeds in another bale. But yesterday I planted, I believe it was Rutgers determinate tomatoes and 1 Sweet 100 indeterminate, and I planted some squash.
When you get some of the squash, can I get some if you have any extra?
Sure. I love giving it away as much as I do.
Squash is a low-carb food, and I'm on the low-carb diet.
One recipe that we do, Bill, is I'll chop up a squash, put it in boiling water, maybe a little bit of a Vidalia onion or a sweet onion, and just let it boil. Just let it boil down. And then a colander, drain my juice and put it back in there and just let it simmer. Maybe a tad of butter, maybe not, but I do not salt it. I do not pepper it. That's an individual choice. But that squash is just as sweet tasting as you want to find. And
squash is one of the foods I was always afraid to eat growing up as a child. And later in life, I discovered it and discovered that I really like it.
Well, do you like, what's the other squash and the green zucchini? Do you like zucchini?
I like squash better, but zucchini's low carb too, and I can eat zucchini. All right, let's see. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A.
Morning.
Hey, Michael.
This is Michael Amos. Where are you calling from, sir?
Great Beach, Florida.
Where do you think I got that question from?
What's for?
It's going to be real pretty down here again today, but then it's going to rain the rest of the week. So I hope everybody didn't spend thousands and thousands of dollars to stand here in the rain.
Well, I'm looking at the newspaper this morning that has the 5-day forecast on the back, and it has today's high at 87.
Woo.
But then look on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday's highs. Wednesday 73, Thursday 73, Friday 63.
Wow.
Saturday 70, Sunday 71, Monday 72. Now, when I look at that, you know what I see? I see about 6 days in a row I don't have to run the air condition or the heat.
Okay.
And I save money.
There you go. I hope they have good weather for Troy Fest. It's the last weekend in April. Had Morgan Drinkard on the show last night, but It's back. They had to cancel it last year, but Troy Fest will be the April the 24th
Sharp
and 25th.
looking poster right there.
Saturday from 9 to 5 and Sunday from 10 to 4. Got a lot of vendors, a lot of food trucks, a lot of entertainment in downtown Troy. So go support the local artist. That's part of their livelihood.
Oh yeah.
Is a second income or a primary income is to have their arts and crafts sold.
I have made the circuit at arts and crafts fairs as a side gig. I market cityscape paintings of Auburn, of all things, and Montgomery. I've got a friend in Opelika that is an unbelievable watercolor artist, and he does these watercolors of all the landmark buildings in those towns. Mm-hmm. And I commissioned it and paid for it and made prints. And, off and on over the last 10 years, I go to these art shows and set up a booth and sell them unframed and framed. So I have seen these artists you're talking about, and they put a lot of work into moving all their merchandise and doing these shows.
Will you have a booth?
No, I mean it's so much work, and the prints have been out so long, and you might sell one or two prints and for 14 hours of work, and I just say I'd rather go and be a customer.
I remember when that was the Jean Lake Festival, and as a kid I can remember DG Lake. Her daughter I thought was one of the most beautiful girls I'd ever seen in my life, because I was 10 and she was probably 20 at the time, but I can remember the Jean Lake Festival was what it was called.
Yeah, it was.
And it was at the museum on the bypass, but I think they've outgrown that. But downtown Troy is going to be rocking and rolling.
Well, it's been a great addition to downtown Troy, and downtown Troy's got some momentum, and I love all the events that we have on the square.
So.
Well, Forrest, you could have just slept on the couch last night, man, after your show.
Well, I got home and Jody had some spaghetti for supper, and I ate that, and it wasn't long before I was out. And, I set my alarm for about 4:30.
So what did Morgan say about Troy Fest? Are they going to be a mask? Do you have to wear a mask around? Or
She did not indicate that. She just wants everybody to social distance, use your own discretion. But they will start setting up Friday afternoon. They're going to shut the square off, and the vendors will go in there and set up. But multiple food trucks, a lot of entertainment live just off the square between on the other side of Bird's Drugs and that little parking lot there will be live bands and music throughout the event.
So take your little chair that you take to the soccer games and baseball games, and a blanket, and your stroller with your kids, and see your neighbors, and get you.
Looks like Troy softball ran into a buzzsaw playing Lafayette.
They did.
They're undefeated in conference, and all of a sudden now they've lost 3 straight.
That's right. They let's see, they lost 5-2, 8-7, and 10-2. The Lady Trojans' record now is 26-9, 10-3 in the conference. Louisiana Lafayette, they're 32-6 overall. And 14-1 in the conference. They've won 17 games in a row, and the Lady Trojans will travel to UAB on Wednesday night to take on UAB. And this weekend they're going to play the University of Louisiana Monroe, who's 10-20 in the conference and they're 10-20 overall, 4-7 in the conference. And the following week, Troy will host Georgia Tech in ladies softball. One thing I want to mention. Go ahead.
Let's talk to the coach. Coach, what do you? I mean, you're undefeated in conference. You got to have just tons of confidence, and then you just lose 3 straight at home. I mean, boy, that's where you have to find a way to turn things around if you're a coach, because you've had such a great season, and hopefully that won't lead to more losses, losing 3 straight. Well,
the Sun Belt tournament will be in Troy in less than a month.
That's
May
a big deal.
Through the 15th, and the way it looks, I'm sure they'll line both those teams on separate ends of the bracket. So you have another shot, and if you're going to play them again, you want to play them at home, and hopefully there'll be a big, big crowd for that. But Of course, they got to get back on track against UAB tomorrow night. And in
Yeah,
baseball,
maybe Mike Amos can stand on Gibb Street with like a table and a chair, maybe to sit down, and they'll have some money, and he can charge for parking for that tournament.
yeah, the
People can just walk up the hill.
well, tonight the Troy baseball team will travel to Birmingham to play UAB for a 6 o'clock pitch. That's tonight. The Troy Trojans versus the UAB in baseball. And this weekend, Mike, they travel to Atlanta to play Georgia State. Georgia State, listen to their record. They're 8-25 overall, 4-5 in the conference.
Now here's the rest of the story.
Here's the rest of the story. They've lost to West Virginia 4 times. They've lost to Georgia. They have lost to Vanderbilt 4 times. They've lost to Tennessee. They've lost to Florida. They've lost to Kentucky 3 times, and they've lost to Clemson.
They might as well
And
be
in
in
some
the
of those
SEC.
games, they were close.
Yeah.
Some of those games, they were close.
I think Vanderbilt's number one in the
their head
country.
coach used to be a former Troy player. I don't know if he's still there or not.
How did Vanderbilt become a baseball power? See, you can do it. I've always said that even the football team could do it if they would just commit. I mean,
Do you know what sport won the first national championship for Vanderbilt?
bowling.
Bowling. Lady bowling. And they won it again, and then the baseball team, I think, won it a couple of times maybe.
We did have an
Yeah, the baseball game tonight will be at Regents Park, the minor league stadium, right in downtown Birmingham. You'll have Good People Brewing Company across the way, and a lot of other restaurants and stuff. That'd be a fun trip for people tonight.
Mm-hmm. See that? I haven't seen that ballpark yet. I'm sure it's very pretty. We had an interesting night last night. Jack has got a stomach bug, and he woke up at about 11 o'clock throwing up, and then bless his little heart, he was throwing up for the next couple hours. So his sweet mama sat up with him, and she's not going to school today. I think when somebody in your family has a bad contagious bug like that, they don't want you to risk getting everybody else getting that bug. And she says it's going around in Troy City schools, this little stomach bug. So I hope that they are asleep and are not watching this right now after that long night.
Right. The topic came up yesterday, Michael, about minor league baseball. The Montgomery Biscuits will open at Tennessee to play the Smokies May the 4th through the 9th. They'll play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then the following week, the Biscuits will play at home. So in AA baseball, they're going to play 6 straight games, Tuesday through Sunday.
Against the same team.
Against the same team. Then they'll be off on Mondays for travel and rest. Then they'll play the next 6 games.
You know, one thing they're doing is they're trying to save money on travel.
Sure.
So instead of taking 2 trips to play the Smokies for 3 games, they're getting them 6 games and one pop.
So May the 11th, they'll host Chattanooga. But on the north side of the Southern League is the Birmingham Barons, the Chattanooga Lookouts, Rocket City Trash Pandas in Madison, Alabama, the Tennessee Smokies in Kodak, Tennessee, the Biloxi Shuckers are in the Southern Division, along with the Mississippi Braves, the Montgomery Biscuits, and the Pensacola Blue Wahoos.
Don't you love the minor league names of teams?
And
What is a panda? The what pandas?
Trash Panda.
What is a trash panda?
I guess it's a panda that's in the trash. I have no idea. I have no idea. We got another caller coming in.
Hold on.
I'll say Will Matthews
Conference.
or Mike Amos.
All right. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A.
Hey, Bill, Will Matthews. How y'all doing?
Hey, Will. You got Bill and Forrest manning the desk while Mike recuperates. But
A baby is born in Japan. His name is Hideki.
and Michael's on Zoom. And good report, Mike Amos. I talked to him a long time yesterday. Sounds fantastic. It's like Michael says. It's a miracle.
It's a miracle he's alive.
Yeah, it's a miracle that Mom actually was not at the beach at the time. That would have been really bad for somebody at Troy Cable to have to go and find him after the show.
He said that.
Michael, he would have been like Bud was. When Bud had his stroke, he had nobody there with him, and he laid there over a day. And
yeah, Dad found him after the show, actually.
Yeah, and he had been like, you know, a long time. If somebody got to him early, they could have helped him.
Yeah,
Bud never was the same.
It's all about timing when it comes to a stroke, and thank goodness Mom wasn't able to be there, and she went in there to wake him up at 5:30, and thank goodness she did.
Right.
And
he's doing great though. He's walking around without his walker, and he, I mean, might have to do a little bit of rehab, but it's more for his Parkinson's than anything.
Right.
Well, Will, give us your recap of the Masters and your observations.
I heard someone say that knows. Hideki Matsuyama, that win will make him $100 million every year.
Every year?
Every year.
Endorsements.
Gosh.
Endorsement. He's bigger than Tiger Woods is in Japan.
No doubt.
And
He's the biggest sports figure maybe in that country's history all of a sudden. I guess there's some baseball players that are.
Well, does the foreign circuit over there dominate ladies golf? And I think the same thing. You're going to start seeing more. Who dominates ladies golf?
Koreans.
I mean, that circuit, you know, the Pacific, you know, that part of the country.
But Japan.
I'll tell you what, Will, though, he came very close to choking. If Xander Schauffele doesn't hit into the water on 16, I think we have a different winner.
Yeah, I think Xander panicked. I mean, all he's got to do is hit it in the middle of the green, let it drift down the hole. And, you know, he would only been one stroke behind with 2 holes to go.
Oh, I thought he would birdie that hole number 16 because you know I watched a lot of shots and like you say, you just hit it on that little slope and the ball's going to roll 3 feet from the pin.
Yeah, the ball.
He blamed him on the wind. He said he got a gust of wind when the ball released his club.
I tell you what it was, Michael. He got a gust of his collar choking around his neck. And pull the ball in the water.
Yeah. You don't see many balls go in the water there anymore, do you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how anybody can hit it in the water there. They got hit a horrible shot to hit the water.
Yeah, you're right because the shot's to the right.
Now 12, you can hit it in the water with a good shot, but not 16.
Well, I had a little. Let's say I had a little interest in Schauffele coming back and winning that tournament. You could get some really good odds on him the day before, and for a while there, I said, "Bill, you might do it again." You know, I had Justin Thomas in the Players, who was barely made the cut and came back and won it.
Well, I was impressed with the crowd. I didn't realize everybody that owns the place or is a member and every single player that plays is like 10 or 20 family members. Because that was a pretty decent crowd over there.
The only people that could go were members, their families, and the players and their families, and the caddies got tickets. I've never heard of that.
I thought it was a decent crowd.
Yeah.
There was 5,000 people there. You know, that's all that was there.
Are you going to go next year?
I will be there next year. Now, I could have gone this year, but there was 2,800 reasons I didn't go.
Okay, 28.
Just 2,800 for one round. I just wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, and then you would have to buy your pimento cheeses and all the hats for all your friends, so it would have ended up being way over 3,000 regions.
You know, every year I spend about $2,000 in the pro shop and bring stuff back. But of course, everybody that I get stuff for, they pay. Mike about had a heart attack one time. He wanted a sweater vest. So I got him a sweater vest. It was like $225. He liked to have a fit because it was cashmere. I mean, it was, you know, you can't buy a better thing than that. I understand he wears it all the time, so you know.
He got his money out of it.
On the pimento cheese sandwiches.
That is Mike's signature article of clothing is the sweater vest.
On the
Will's been very good to the Amos family. Dad probably had about 10 visors and 10 caps. I probably have about 6 or 7 visors. We've always had Will pick up stuff for us over the years.
Will, I bet everybody that goes over there does the same thing, don't they?
Yeah, and it really is good, Bill, because what you do, you go in the golf shop, and it's like going in Walmart. I mean, it's huge.
Okay.
There's 2 of them. And I go in the golf shop over behind number 5, which nobody knows exists.
Oh, they have more than one.
Yeah, there's 2.
Okay.
And the one I go to is over by number 5. And what you do, you go in there, you buy all your stuff, and you take it to a check stand right next to it. They bag up your stuff, and they keep it there for you. And at the end of the day, when you're leaving, you pick it up and take it to your car.
Awesome.
Or if you wanted to, you could mail the stuff home.
Awesome. Everything that club does is first class. Last week we talked about all the traditions that are unique to the Masters, and I think we stopped at about 12.
Oh, yeah.
Well, do they, on the pimento cheese sandwiches, do they cut the end pieces off?
No.
They don't. They leave them.
not.
They leave them on. I was just
And
curious.
it's just Sunbeam white bread.
Sunbeam.
But besides the cashmere sweaters, everything's very reasonable, isn't it? They don't try to gouge you with the prices.
No, it's $1.50 for a sandwich.
Wow.
And a beer's $1.50.
Wow.
You go to a baseball game or a basketball game, you can't get a beer for less than $5.
Oh, yes, it's ridiculous. They and they don't make money on the concessions. And I heard y'all talking about it yesterday. Everything's wrapped in green paper, so if somebody drops a piece of paper, it just kind of blends in with the grass, you know.
But I guarantee you, every one of those patrons, if they drop something, they're going to pick it up. That everybody doesn't want to be the person that litters.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Now tell me, everybody I've talked to that's been over there says TV does not do justice to the hills and the elevation changes. I mean,
Well, TV flattens everything out, but if you'll notice, since they started using these drones, you get a pretty good idea of the hills with these drones.
I did notice a lot of shots I had never seen before. And you know where I watched the tournament this year? On my Mac computer. And
Masters.com.
yeah, and you can click on My Players. You can watch every shot of your 8 or 9 players that you picked. Now there's
where the hills are, number 10, you've got a downhill slope. I mean, it's like walking down a staircase. And number 8, the par 5, is straight uphill. You can't even see the green from the fairway down there. And another hole that's got a big hill, number 1, going up the hill. Although these guys carry it over the hill. 17 kind of going up the hill, 18 going up the hill. There's no, and this is the thing, when you're playing the course, you get a lot of side hill lies, and they're hard to hit. Side hill lies is the hardest shot to hit in golf.
Oh yeah, and then the putts, I just can't imagine I mean, there is no level flat putt in the whole round probably.
No.
What do you think of the young Will Zalatoris, the kid from Wake Forest? He's pretty impressive, wasn't he?
Michael, this kid is going to be a star. He's fearless. I mean, he hits shots like on Saturday. He hit a 6-iron in the 15 and very few players could even get over the water on Saturday. The guy's a great player. He's going to be a star.
You know who really played well, we talked about it yesterday, was Stuart Sink. 47 years old, I think, maybe 48.
Yeah.
His son was caddying for him. I read a story in AL.com, and it's hard to find a better spoken, classier guy than Stuart Sink. So I'm happy that late in his career, he's having a resurgence.
He's from Florence, Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
But tell you what, you got to watch how Steve is playing again. You know that he.
We're losing you a little bit, Mike. Can you hear us?
Yep.
Be impressed with Steve, George Speed's play.
Yeah, he's getting better.
That's good for golf. He's a fun player to watch, and I like the way he carries himself too.
Well, some of the heavyweights did not make the cut. And
I know, starting with Dustin Johnson, who had he probably went home to South Carolina and then came back for the green jacket ceremony.
Right.
well, let's take a quick break. I want to thank Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Troy, Alabama, Jason Gregory and his staff. Nobody can beat their deal, and they got a great commercial out starring Barney Fife, look-alike. Also, I want to thank Troy Bacon Trust. They have 14 locations in this part of the country, and also the Witherington Group, Bird's Drugs, and we'll be back in just a minute with Today in L.A.
Starting April 1st, all your local county and school board meetings will be moving to BBTV, Channel 17. Catch Pike County Commission, Troy City Council, and school board meetings live on Facebook, YouTube, and BBTV, brought to you by Troy Cable.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
This is Barney at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and I'm here to nip this sale in the bud.
Hello, folks. This is Greg Anthony, sales manager at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Troy, Alabama, offering discounts up to $15,000.
Let's nip that.
0% financing up to 72 months.
We gotta nip that.
Barney, $5,000 over Kelly Blue Book for your trade-in.
You're killing the competition.
Barney!
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mike Amos's Today in L.A. This is Bill Rice. To my right, I'm Forrest Lee, and on the phone we have Michael Amos Jr. calling in from Grayton Beach, Florida, and Will Matthews calling in from Ozark, Alabama. Good morning, and it's T-Day game in Tuscaloosa this weekend. The big statue of the elephant has been moved near the stadium.
I want to talk about that.
And
I hope everybody, Michael, I'm sure you've seen, and Will, you've probably seen pictures of this new giant elephant they have moved to the entrance of Bryant-Denny Stadium. To me, it looks awesome.
I haven't seen it yet.
They have built a pedestal for it to stand on and done a lot of landscaping around it, but the elephant, which is called Tuska, had been at North River Yacht Club for 21 years.
Wow.
And Mr. and Miss Bill Battle was a teammate of my dad's, former athletic director at Alabama. They made a financial gift, and somebody else did too. It cost $415,000 to move it.
Wow.
7 tons.
Yes, and but once they announced they were going to do it, it took them about 1 day to do it. They didn't mess around. And so this Saturday at the A-Day game, I mean, you can tell it's going to be an iconic, signature decoration point from here on out, I think.
Well, at 10:15 in the morning, it's the Walk of Fame ceremony at Denny Chimes. Hand and cleat prints will go into the cement from the 2019-2020 captains to include Tua Tagovailoa, Devontae Smith, Anthony Jennings, Xavier McKinney, Mac Jones, Alex Leatherwood, and Landon Dickerson. And I believe during the game.
That's great. They're bringing all those other guys back to do that ceremony.
Right, and
they weren't able to last year.
And I think at the end of the first quarter, they're going to present the Maxwell Trophy Award to Devontae Smith, and at halftime, the Heisman Trophy to him at halftime. So it's going to be a great weekend.
There are a lot of reasons to go to the game, in addition just to seeing the new team. But golly, that's a if they're selling 50,000 tickets, surely they'll sell all 50,000 with all that going on.
Sure, and so that's
it's going to be a noon kickoff.
Walk of Champions at 10:50 outside the stadium.
By then they might let more people. You don't know how the virus is going. That's several months from now.
No, that's next. It's this weekend, Will.
Oh, you're talking about the spring game.
Yeah, spring game. Well, Auburn picked
they're,
up.
They're actually charging $5 a ticket, so they'll make some pretty good money off this.
Yeah, plus concessions.
$250,000.
You see where Auburn picked up the 7-foot University of North Carolina transfer Walker Kessler. Transfers to Auburn. He's originally from Woodward Academy in Georgia. So Auburn
got him a good one.
Gets a good one as far as transfer basketball goes. And
well, I look for Auburn to bounce back. What about that good point guard Auburn had this year? Did he go pro, or has he made a decision yet?
Haven't heard on him.
Definitely going pro.
Well, you had Alabama got another guy yesterday from Furman, a transfer into the program, 6'8" forward, averaged 16 points a game. So Alabama's now gotten 3 players in the last, week or so, and have 15 players on the roster. So they're going to have a couple guys leave.
Yeah,
get all these guys in.
He'll have to run off the players.
I think I read that some signee commitment from early on is already opted. He's already asked for his
release. The junior college superstar. I caught the tail end of that this morning driving in here. But the National Football League draft is coming up toward the end of April, and there's a lot of variables going on. And Deshaun Watson, he was going to be in the mix, but I don't think that will take place now as far as a trade.
How many Alabama players do you think will go in the first round? Have you thought about it? Look there.
Maybe 6.
That would be a record if it gets 6. Entire record, I think.
They're talking about Mac Jones moving all the way up within the 5 to San Francisco as a quarterback.
Najee Harris is one of them, and there's a really good documentary on AL.com about Najee Harris's life story. I did not realize.
He was homeless, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was homeless at times and from terrible poverty, and moved around constantly as a child in real crime-ridden neighborhoods and cities in the San Francisco Bay Area. I had no idea about all this, and I've always picked up on the fact that he's a free thinker and goes to the beat of his own drummer. But AL.com's doing this, and I think HBO is doing some kind of documentary where they're following draft picks and telling their story. And there's not as many compelling stories as Najee Harris' story.
Mm-hmm. He seems kind of cool, calm, and collective. I imagine with all he's had to go through, being a running back in the SEC is like a piece of cake to him as to what he's had to go through. And there was a good one on Freddy Freeman the other night that about 11 o'clock, Jody and I had dozed off and woke up, and this documentary on Freddy Freeman was on for the Atlanta Braves. And that was...
Who is Freddy Freeman?
He plays for the Atlanta Braves.
I don't know.
And first baseman, he was MVP last year.
Yeah, he lost his mother when he was real young, and then a few years later his dad was diagnosed with some health problems, and he it's a great story if you can
You know,
follow the Freddy Freeman story.
I knew a little bit about Josh Jacobs' backstory. Very similar to Najee's. All the he had to overcome going to Alabama, but you know, Najee Harris too. And then Najee will say things. He's not politically correct. You know, I think some of these things in this documentary that Alabama fans might not like. You know, about what he thinks about the culture in Alabama, and he apparently didn't always think just like Nick Saban.
Bill, the bad thing about Najee is he's a running back, so he won't get drafted that high. But the good thing is he'll probably go to the Steelers, and they've got a real good team, and he could be a star at the Steelers.
That's a good point.
That's one of the points that he may go to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, he's like all successful people. It don't happen by accident. They showed footage of him working out, which he's apparently done his whole life. And it's amazing to watch him do agility drills, lift weights, catching passes at all angles, and people just firing them at him from 10 feet away.
You know what's helping him is Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry was a huge running back, 6'4", I don't know, 240 maybe.
Yeah,
Najee Harris, 6'2", 230. And everybody's seeing what Henry's doing with the Titans, and they're thinking Najee Harris could do the same thing for them.
Yeah.
Najee Harris was a big game player. I mean, I remember the LSU game last year, which was the heartbreaker of heartbreakers, and everything went bad for Alabama, especially in the first half. But, you know, Najee Harris was running like a man possessed in that football game, and he just...
Isn't that the same game where Tua fumbled going in?
Yeah, just
right
dropped the ball.
I mean, that would have changed. But anyway.
Well, the biggest play is when he threw the interception right before the half. LSU went up 2 years ago at the half, I think, 18?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Alabama scored every time they had the ball in the second half, touchdown.
Yeah, my wife was watching the game this year, and I kept on saying, let's score as many points as possible. I was like, let's put 70 on them. And I think Alabama put 55 on LSU this year, and she thought I was crazy because I kept on saying we need to score more and more and more. But Orgeron had run his mouth so much after that win. All the post-game celebrations and what he said in the locker room, how they're going to dominate Alabama in recruiting, dominate Alabama on the field. I mean,
they're dominating them in
Alabama. They totally could have scored 70 points this year against them.
Well, I don't like to air folks' dirty laundry, but they're dominating Alabama in the courtroom right now too.
Yeah.
Or fixing to.
They got all kinds of off-the-field issues.
There's a lot of stuff going on down there. But the draft starts Thursday, April the 29th, and then it'll resume on Friday, April the 30th, with rounds 2 and 3, and Saturday rounds 4 through 7. So the draft is coming up, and good luck. Will Troy University have anybody drafted, you reckon? Probably not.
No.
So, anyway.
Steph Curry scored 53 last night for the Golden State Warriors. He's 33 years old and having one of his best seasons ever.
And
he's a guy that went to college at Davidson, of all places.
Mm-hmm.
And Wilt Chamberlain did hold the franchise record, but he beat. You know what Wilt Chamberlain's full name is?
No. What is it?
Wilton Norman Chamberlain.
He was
Wilton Norman Chamberlain.
You know, I did.
He always wore a rubber band around his wrist. He never fouled out of an NBA game.
Wow.
Never fouled out. I'll check my notes, but I believe that's
if he could only
correct.
shoot free throws, he would have averaged 10 more points a game.
Yeah. Julian Edelman.
I want to tell you my Wilt story. I did some in-depth research on athletes when I wrote my story about the Jeopardy champion James Holzhauser that had such an unconventional way of playing the game and just destroyed people when he played, just won so much money, more money than anybody had ever won before. He would win $80,000 an episode where, you know, a typical winner gets $18,000. So I started thinking, who has dominated their competition by that big a margin and in what categories? And one of the players I came upon was Wilt Chamberlain, who would be averaging I think one year he averaged 50 points a game almost, and it's the second place in the league for points per game would have been 35. So he was 15 points above his runner-up in that category. Another I thought of was Babe Ruth when he was hitting all those home runs. Ruth would hit 50 have 40 or 50 or 60 home runs in a year. And then you go down and you say, well, who was number 2 in home runs in major leagues? And it would be somebody that had 18. It's just the gap between. And that was the same with Wilt Chamberlain.
He averaged over 50 points one game. He was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. What college did he play for?
He played out.
Kansas.
Kansas is correct.
I was going to say, was it his Bill Russell played at Cincinnati, San Francisco College?
San Francisco. They won the NCAA 2 years, I believe, with him, with Bill Russell. And
there was 1 year Chamberlain averaged 50 points a game and 25 rebounds a game in one year.
Wow.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Will Chamberlain was in some movie too growing up. What movie was he in? Was he in some of the? I know Kareem was in movies. Will Chamberlain was in some movies too.
Yeah.
I want to say Will Chamberlain was in a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I don't know. Wilt's been dead a while.
I have to look up Will Chamberlain movies.
Well, he shot 50%, under 50% free throws for his career. I also, in my research, investigated people that were contrarians that did things differently than everybody else. Talking about Holshouser on Jeopardy. And one of the examples I came up with was Rick Barry in basketball, who did what? He shot free throws, granny style, underhand. Not only did he shoot them unlike anybody else in a style he largely created himself, he was the best free throw shooter in the game. He shot over 90% free throws. 1 year, Wilt Chamberlain was kind of like Shaq. He was so bad at free throws. He tried it and went to the underhand approach, and that was his best year by far, shooting free throws. And then he discarded it. He thought it looked silly or sissy-like, girl-like. And I think he shot that 1 year. He was doing them underhand. He shot over 60%, and then he went back to shooting them conventional and went right back to 50%.
I think late in his career he was very good. He was high up in the assist records because they used him as a post guy, dishing the ball out. And but Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, Wilt Chamberlain was in Conan the Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
And Arnold maybe back in the day.
Yeah.
What is Arnold doing? What is this?
He's in some kind of series.
He's out of politics. I guess he's still doing a few movies here and there.
Yeah.
Well, they're not making any movies anymore. I know he tried to get back into movies. I think his first effort or two was a flop.
The movie he became famous with, the Working Out movie, was shot in downtown Birmingham. The whole movie was in Birmingham.
Yeah, was
I
that
read
called?
an article about it one day.
It's called Staying Alive or something. What was it called? No.
Well, it was like him and Lou Ferrigno and all the great bodybuilders at the time. The whole movie was shot in downtown Birmingham.
Yeah.
I remember that.
See where Julian Edelman retired from the Patriots. He failed a physical.
Player.
He was in that. He played for 12 years, and the Chicago Cubs have placed 3 relief pitchers, on the COVID watch list. They've got COVID. Or
Wonder if Edelman's going to go to Tampa Bay and come out of retirement like Gronk did.
well, said he failed a physical, but he may get better and clear it.
Yeah, Gronk just took a sabbatical for a year and came back and helped Tampa Bay win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
They got Kyle Pitts going to what team? I know Dallas wants him, but they've got him listed going number 4. I forgot what team that is.
Florida had some weapons this year, didn't they? He was unstoppable in college, and that wideout from Mobile is also very, very good.
Well, the Tony guy, kid.
Yeah.
Well, what about in SEC football out of the East? Is it going to be Georgia or Florida, or will there be a dark horse?
I don't know what Florida Florida losing their quarterback's going to hurt them. That quarterback's good. And I think Georgia's finally found a quarterback. So I'd probably, if I had to pick one, I'd say Georgia will win the East.
Yeah, but they've been bombarded with injuries at the wide receiver.
Yeah.
This
George
spring.
Pickens, the great wide receiver out of Hoover, has blown out his knee.
And I think they lost someone else.
Doesn't Alabama play Georgia in Athens to start the year?
No, sir. We play Miami. Play Miami in Georgia.
We don't play Georgia this year?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
I've got the schedule over here. Alabama will start off versus Miami, versus Mercer, at Florida.
Yeah, okay, that's the game I'm thinking about. At Florida's going to be a tough game, and at A&M is going to be a tough game.
Yes, sir. Then we'll play Southern Miss at home, Ole Miss at home, at Texas A&M on the 9th of October, at Mississippi State the week after, home versus Tennessee, then home versus LSU, home versus New Mexico State, home versus Arkansas, and then on the 27th, we'll play at Auburn.
You know, talking about Florida's quarterback, I can't remember his name, but he was great. But I haven't heard anything about him in all these draft prognostications.
Yeah, Kyle Trask.
He might have made a terrible blunder by playing in the bowl game. I mean, he had a fantastic year. He was a serious Heisman candidate. Played really good against Alabama. And then he goes in the bowl game and has a terrible game, and his team gets blown out. You know, they probably don't even want to be at the game, and half his teammates weren't playing.
Sure.
But I bet his draft stock went down quite a bit because he played in that game.
Well, here's Florida's record, and they got a pretty easy road, I think. Florida Atlantic, South Florida, well, there's Alabama on the schedule, Tennessee, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, at LSU, Georgia, South Carolina, Samford, Missouri, Florida State.
They'll probably lose 3 games.
And now Georgia opens up at, versus Clemson in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Ooh.
LSU opens up at UCLA, the big games. Ole Miss is versus Louisville in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's see. As far as big-time openers, that's about it.
What about Auburn?
Auburn opens up versus Akron. Arkansas opens up versus Rice, then versus Texas. That's Arkansas. And
You know, Auburn was going to open up against North Carolina last year. That would have been a good game.
well, the third game they play at Penn State.
Ooh, that would be fun.
They're saying Kyle Trask is a possible second-round pick.
I think so. He,
Second round's not bad, though, for a quarterback.
he was awesome I mean, he became a starter, after a couple of games last year, and was far better than the guy that they had starting, which is makes you wonder about these coaches sometimes, what they see in practice.
I read a headline that Mackenzie Milton, who was at University of Central Florida, had that bad leg injury
Terrible,
in 2018, that he did look sharp running the Florida State offense this past game.
He's at Florida State?
He's at Florida State.
Oh,
Looked
man.
good. He's been out for about 2 years.
That'll be I'm going to pull for him. I mean,
Mackenzie Milton.
He had an injury where he almost lost his leg. I mean, it was Joe Theismann bad.
Yeah, I mean, Florida State's a program that's been down tremendously, but that's a program that should, with the right coach, be able to turn it around quickly. I mean, you just got to look at all the recruiting in the state of Florida. Surely they're going to turn it around here in the next couple of years.
You would think so, but then again,
I mean, you look at programs like Tennessee and Nebraska. I mean, there's not near the recruiting in those areas as you have down in Florida.
All right, here's who they open up with.
Florida State?
Yes. Home versus Notre Dame. Jacksonville State at Wake Forest. Home versus Louisville. Home versus Syracuse at North Carolina. Massachusetts for homecoming at Clemson. North Carolina State at home. Miami at home. At Boston College. at Florida. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
That's a good schedule there.
Florida's tough.
You got Notre Dame, Louisville.
Well, I mean, who would have thought Florida State would be down for so long? Who would have thought Miami would be down for so long? Gosh, who would have thought Tennessee would be down for 20 years?
Make it 30.
Nebraska. I mean, has Nebraska won more than 9 games in the last 20 years? I tell all Alabama fans, do not get cocky and do not get cocky and think that you're going to be on the top forever. It could happen to you too.
Well, Clemson's going to roll.
Miami's down. Texas is down. I mean, you got a lot of great programs down.
USC's been down.
Yeah.
Penn State's kind of come back, but they haven't come back all the way. Michigan's been mediocre, not mediocre, but
they've been pretty bad. You're right. They can't beat Ohio State. They haven't beat Ohio State, what, 9 years?
That Najee Harris documentary, Najee Harris almost went to Michigan. He was committed to Alabama early, and then Harbaugh got on him late and came to his homecoming game and announced the homecoming king and queen. And Najee said on the day he was supposed to go to college, he still didn't know where he was going. And then Tua, he became buddies with Tua, and Tua said, "Man, I'm going to Tuscaloosa. Come on and go with me." And Najee said, "All right."
I'll go.
Alabama's coaches did not know if he was going to be showing up or not, and he just showed up.
Well, he's one of the key of why Alabama won it all.
Yes.
Of those guys that came back there last year, Devonta Smith, Harris, Moses, Leatherwood.
Yeah.
Seems like there was 1 or 2 more that came back that could have gone pro. And the rest is history.
You know, the year before, Auburn beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl in Auburn. And key to that Auburn team is they had 2 great defensive linemen, Marlon Davidson and this other guy. And they both could have gone pro, and they came back.
Yeah, Brown was the other guy.
How did he do in his rookie year? Did he do all right?
He did all right. You know, Alabama in that game, though, Vallejo's misses a 29-yard field goal.
Well, how do you think Auburn's going to do this year?
Did I tell y'all I met the Auburn coach?
Yes, sir, on the golf course up there.
Yeah. And I think they're going to be pretty good. I think this he's a good offensive coach. And if he can get Nick to, coach him up a little bit, I think Auburn could be a factor.
Yeah, really all it comes down to Nick, how Nick's plays. I mean, Bo Nix is a guy that can't stay in the pocket. He's got happy feet. I mean, he's a great athlete, so he can scramble, but until he sets his feet and stays there and tries to complete a pass downfield instead of running, he's never going to be a consistent winner at Auburn, in my opinion.
What about the offensive line? Did they have a solid offensive line coming back? Didn't they?
It's got to be better.
Everybody's coming back, actually.
Yeah, it should be better.
Didn't I read that this big, huge tight end, they're playing him both ways? He's going to play defensive tackle, too?
Yeah.
McGee's.
That'd be quite a story. How often do you see a player that plays both ways? If I was a coach, I would think about doing the exact same thing with somebody like him.
We'll have Brent Betzel on the show soon. You know, Brent's our cousin, and he's the new director of high school relations for Auburn at Brian Hartson's staff. So we'll have him on and let him talk about Auburn soon.
Uh-oh.
Well, we got a third caller.
Okay, Mike. Will, you want to drop off and call tomorrow? We're going to get Mike.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, thank you.
See you, Will.
All right, I'll let you do it. You have to answer it quick.
Good morning. You're on Today in L.A.
Good morning, Mike.
How do you do this morning?
All right. Will Matthews called in, and he relinquished the line for Mike Amos to get on the line. And good morning, Mike. You feeling stronger today and good?
All I've got to say is glory.
Glory, glory.
And hey, everything's beautiful this morning, and thank goodness the Lord's given me a great chance to
be involved with my family and my friends and all over the country.
And you got friends all over the country.
It's a lot better Tuesday morning than last Tuesday morning.
Call your pool guy and get him to fix that pool, clean it up and all, and you can get out in that pool and do you some therapy out there. It'd be good for you. That's some of the best therapy I can advise people is go to the rec center, get in that pool, and you can do all kind of stuff underwater.
Good idea.
It's buoyant, and you can stretch and all that kind of stuff. But it's good to hear you again.
I want to swim in that. I haven't swum in that pool since 1978.
What now?
Yeah, they need to get that pool. They need to get that pool back up and running for their grandkids too.
Let's do it.
I said I have not swam in your pool since 1978, but I remember it well when I did. It was a beautiful pool.
Well, that's what we can do, Mike. After the show, we'll take a dip and do water aerobics. Get Joe Rate to lead us some water aerobics over there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we gotta have a pool. We gotta have a pool show every morning, go we?
That's right.
We got to have my little granddaughter racing your little granddaughter, right?
Yeah, my daughter, your granddaughter, my daughter.
Right.
That's right. You're too old to be a papa.
No, I'm old enough to be a grandfather, but I'm actually a father. I've got a lot of my classmates have not only all their kids are grown and out of college by now, most of them.
You know, you guys are so talented. Sometimes you don't realize what you got until you hear from another angle. And y'all are really doing a great job. And right, when are you going to release your story of the year?
I was telling Mike about my big story on the Galt Youngblood saga. I tried to tell the most comprehensive version of what actually happened on May 22nd, 1962, when this chiropractor from Prattville went crazy and just wreaked so much havoc and tragedy on 3 communities. And that story, which I spent 50 hours researching and writing, will be in the next edition of Troy Life, and I think it's coming out next week, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to it. I remember all that.
That's almost 60 years ago.
Yep, 59.
It was a very sad thing, but you know, it was a fact. It was you know, that this guy just went crazy, robbed the bank in Ozark, moved down up toward Louisville, and created havoc in Troy. It was a long time before they could get this guy.
Well, you know, it's a long story, Mike, but I think it'll flow. People, if they start it, they're going to.
Did you even try to interview anybody from his family and get their side of things?
No, because I think they're all deceased. Although his widow lived into her mid-90s up in New York State. She actually lived in his home that is on the National Historic Register. That's another bizarre little side story. But
I'm assuming she moved away after this happened?
Well, Galt had abandoned his wife. He was a chiropractor in New York State with his wife, who actually they met at chiropractor school. And they practiced together, but his practice was always awful. He had no way with people and was awkward. And but after trying to keep this chiropractic office going in Glens Falls, New York for 10 years, out of the blue, he tells his wife, "I'm going to start a new life and I'm going to Alabama." How he picked Alabama, I don't know. But
that's crazy.
Either he just said, and the wife said, "I ain't going." She had a job as a clerk at a department store, and she knew they needed some income. She said, "You go. If you get established and are successful, maybe I'll come down there later." So she sent him money off and on for the next 2.5 years, and he was just as unsuccessful in Alabama as he was in New York. He went to Theodore, Alabama. Then he went to Tuskegee, Alabama, and was a chiropractor, where he was barely making ends meet, where this Eugene Galt on December 31st, 1960, 17 months before the events I write about, robbed a bank in downtown Auburn, cleared $29,200, got away scot-free. That the equivalent $29,200 in 1960 dollars. I looked it up on my inflation calculator. Michael, you want to guess or force how much money that would be in 2021 dollars?
That'd be around 65,000.
400,000.
$257,000 cash.
Wow.
And so you tell me how he used that money to buy a chiropractic office in Prattville, Alabama for $8,000 of his dollars. He bought the equipment and bought out this chiropractor. So that's how he went from, rags, barely being able to feed himself, to buying this chiropractic office in Prattville. But 17.
And he had the gall to stay in Alabama, only 2 hours away.
They did these artist sketches of who the bank robber was. Man, after they finally killed him in Troy, I saw a picture of that artist sketch. It's dead on of the guy. So how in the world, for 17 months did he live as a chiropractor with nobody figuring out he's the guy that robbed the Auburn Bank? Anyway,
less than an hour and a half away from where he robbed it. How many banks did he end up robbing?
That's it. That one, and then he actually didn't rob the bank in Ozark. He tried to, and it was an aborted bank. He didn't get a dime. But the reason I know why he robbed that bank is because when he died and was shot by those 4 officers in Troy, he was broke. He had $19 in his wallet, and they found some money hidden in books at his apartment, about $80, and that was all the money he had to his name. So in 17 months, he had gone through the equivalent of $257,000. So that's why he tried to rob the bank in Ozark, and it went awful from the minute he walked in the bank. So thank you, Mike, for mentioning it. I'm excited about this story, and I hope everybody reads it.
Well, let's take a quick break. It's about 8:02, and we'll come back in just a few minutes. I've got to leave for the golf course, but we want to thank Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Troy, Alabama, Jason Gregory. Nobody can beat their deal, nobody. Again, Troy Baker Trust Bank, they have 14 locations in this part of Alabama. And we'll be back in just a few minutes with Today in L.A.
Hi, Sandy. I'm right here. Come on in.
Eddie, I'm right here. Hello, Miss Mary. I'm right here. I'm right here.
Since 1969, we've been right here because at Troy Regional Medical Center, we take these words to heart.
I'm right here. Thank you.
Remarkable people, remarkable care.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
This is Barney at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and I'm here to nip this sale in the bud.
Hello, folks. This is Greg Anthony, sales manager at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Troy, Alabama, offering discounts up to $15,000.
Let's nip that.
0% financing up to 72 months.
We gotta nip that.
Barney, $5,000 over Kelly Blue Book for your trade-in.
You're killing the competition.
Barney!
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Hi, Sandy. I'm right here. Come on in.
Freddy, I'm right here. Hello, Miss Mary. I'm right here. I'm right here.
Since 1969, we've been right here. Because at Troy Regional Medical Center, we take these words to heart.
I'm right here. Thank you.
Remarkable people, remarkable care.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
This is Barney at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and I'm here to nip this sale in the bud.
Hello, folks. This is Greg Anthony, sales manager at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Troy, Alabama, offering discounts up to $15,000.
Let's nip that.
0% financing up to 72 months.
We gotta nip that.
Barney, $5,000 over Kelly Blue Book for your trade-in.
You're killing the competition.
Barney!
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa know-how. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa know-how team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Art like they used to. Hello, I'm back. My Forrest Lee has gone to the Brundage Country Club, the best value in public golf in the state of Alabama. So if you want some exercise and enjoy this beautiful weather, go play 9 holes or 18 holes at Brundage Country Club and see Forrest. He'll take care of you. But now that Forrest has left, we are joined by the master of the show in the genre. He's calling not from Panama City Beach, but he's calling from Crow Hill, first house on, well, I better not say it. He's somewhere on Crow Hill.
Oh boy, he's got a Troy Cable security system and a bunch of
German
Rottweilers and pit bulls, Doberman pinchers.
Yeah, you know, somebody told me the other day that they had a rock Rottweiler for sale.
Rottweiler for sale, and somebody told me that he was interested in getting. Do they make good pets? They claim they make good pets.
I think they're nicer.
They're real protective of their owners, I've heard.
The scary dogs are pit bulls, number 1, Doberman pinchers, maybe number 2, then German shepherds, and then Rottweilers. Maybe that would be my order off the top of my head.
We had German shepherds growing up, and they were very protective.
Yeah, almost too protective, you know.
Yeah.
We had one that we couldn't keep in the fence growing up, and if he got outside that fence, other dogs were in trouble.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the sound on this? Is it okay?
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Speak up and speak into the mouthpiece. I can remember a German Shepherd in my neighborhood in Opelika, where I lived my Opie Taylor days. Lobo. It was Jackie Crawford's dog. And that German Shepherd roamed all around Opelika. I swear everybody in Opelika knew Lobo, and he couldn't have been sweeter. But I would get out of school at Martin Middle School, right by the park in Opelika, and there would be Lobo, and there was a little park, and it actually had some monkeys and some cages in that park, of all things. And Lobo knew me and all the kids, and we walked to and from school, and Lobo would walk home with us. And that's my German Shepherd.
A random park in Opelika had real monkeys in it?
Yeah. I think it had a little train track too, one of these little miniature trains that you could ride in. And that's where Opelika had their arts and crafts festival every year. Probably still does.
Well, I'll tell you, Montgomery had a wonderful park. Oak Park in Montgomery was great for years and years. My family used to have a family reunion there, and we'd ride in there, and everybody said, "Look for the bald head." Look for because the name of the reunion was the head reunion, and but at that park they had a monkey park, a big, large monkey park, and they had all kinds of animals, and it was a zoo, and it was really a fun. And then they had swift, they had various wheels, just a lot of.
Oh yeah, I have done stories on Oak Park. That is a landmark for old time Montgomeryans. I mean, apparently that was the neighborhood that a lot of people grew up in around.
Oh yeah.
And then I've heard people talk about that guy that had the popcorn stand there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good memories at Oak Park. Now it has the planetarium that Troy University owns. I've never been to that. I would like to go and look at the stars and the moon through that thing.
Yeah, that's right. It's one of the best I've heard. It's really good.
That'd be
Well, Dad, I know you hated to miss the ceremony they had for Sim Bird at Trojan Arena. You and Sim went back a long, long time, and I know that you wish you could have been there to honor your friend Sim Bird. And of course, it was a great. I watched it on TV, and you can, in fact, anybody that wants to watch it can go on Facebook and watch it, and it was very, very good. It was just a story of his life, really more than anything. And he was a great football player, and he was an outstanding individual. He had a lot of fans out there, and I think that was a great thing that Troy University did was to honor him. And also, they were sort of at the same time honoring the team, the 1968 team. They were, I think somebody told me that 24 of them came back. That's pretty good, isn't it? 24 of those guys.
Very good.
A lot of my friends were there, and I miss seeing them. I would have loved to have seen, the 68 team and 69 and 70. And just a great bunch of guys who were outstanding team under Billy Atkins.
They changed.
After the game, Lloyd Pether did his famous fish fry. How did that go? Did you ever talk to Lloyd?
I haven't been. It went wonderful. Somebody told me they had over 300 people, so that's a lot of seafood. And they also had fresh mullet. And, folks that love fresh mullet, boy, it is good. If you can catch mullet and then turn around within I reckon 1 hour, but
24 hours.
24. You could put it on a frying pan. It's good eating. Really good.
Mike, you tell me if you agree with this statement. Two people coming to Troy changed everything that followed in the athletics, and then the athletics arguably changed the whole college. That was the arrival of one Billy Atkins and the arrival of one Sim Bird.
You're right. Billy Atkins and Sim Bird, and then you get into baseball with Chase Riddle. And then, what great people they were, too,
Well, I don't think any of these Division II national championships in sports and Division I would have happened if we didn't have that great success in 1968 with that national championship team.
Did you know Troy had not have a one winning season for the last 15 years or so in NAIA? So when he started winning football games at Troy in 1966, that's when not only Johnny Long was. I mean, a lot of people don't give him as much credit with how Troy's school just really got big. He had a lot to do with it. So, you know, you could really, what you could do, you could throw Sam Bird in there and Billy Atkins in there and Johnny Long and then Chase Riddle. Those are four. You know, what do y'all call it on the
Mount Rushmore?
Mount Rushmore. Those would be Mount Rushmore people, wouldn't you think?
Yep, it sure would.
Well, you had Ralph Adams, that was a great chancellor. Then you had Jack Hawkins, who's been a great chancellor, part of it all too.
Troy University has had 2 chancellors for what, almost 60 years? That's probably unheard of.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
That had the, you know, a lot of people wondering how did it grow. Well, it was the vision of all those guys, you know, that you just mentioned.
Yeah, Dr. Long.
Yeah, it's amazing to drive through Troy and see Troy now compared to just when I started college in '94. I mean, it's just a totally different place.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you had to look throughout this nation and look for a chancellor that has done not even near the things that Jack Hawkins has done, Jack Hawkins, I would pick him out among all the university leaders in the country, and I'd take Jack Hawkins.
You know, it's kind of amazing that Troy kept him for so long, as sharp as he is. Who was most responsible for getting Jack Hawkins to Troy, Mike?
Doug Hawkins, Ben Beard, Doug Hawkins. A lot of people I would say Doug Hawkins, the veterinarian.
Well, there you go.
And his vision helped Troy do a lot of things. And then, of course, you know, Ben Beard's vision and vision people, no question, Doug Hawkins and Ben Beard.
Yeah, they did well. I think Doug Hawkins had a lot to do with Larry Blakeney becoming the football coach too, right?
He sure did. He sure did. No question.
So Doug Hawkins, late Dr. Doug Hawkins, the daddy of my good friend Robert Hawkins, he has a lot of influence on Troy, Alabama, and Troy University.
A great man. I tell you what, from Luverne, Alabama, he moved to Troy, Alabama in the 50s, and we haven't looked back. He was a great leader, and of course, there've been a lot of great leaders, and a lot of great people.
Well, then we also, I need to talk to Robert and say, why did your daddy move to Troy and practice when he could have practiced anywhere? There must have been some reason, some connection.
I think we talked to him one time, Dad. Didn't he live in Lafayette, Louisiana for a while?
What, Doug Hawkins?
Yeah, I want to say he said he lived there early in his life.
You might be right. And, you know, you're pretty good at remembering things like that.
He was quite a character, I know that. He was always fun to talk to, even as a kid growing up.